me wanting to become a teacher, an educator started when I was in my secondary school. I had a dream of bringing change to education starting from Nigeria. I had this curiosity, like how does the system work? What does education even mean? If I want to create a change, where do I start from? So asking myself all these questions revived curiosity, which made me go out of my way to find answers. Of course, that was where I learned to apply practical methods and natural talents in solving problems in education. So that was where my passion started. I had a personal story. Okay, when I was in my primary school, I was an introvert kind of a person. I I never liked to be out there. I just wanted to be me, myself. I just wanted to be here. No, it affected my learning at some point because I wasn't really vocal like I should be, and maybe my teacher didn't notice, but it affected me to a point. And looking back now, whenever I go to schools to host programs, I see children who are now like who I was back then, and it clicks. Like I remember, so this was how I was, and I remember how it affected my learning. So I'm prompted to go back to help my younger self. So whenever I take action to bring change to how a child learns, I'm mostly particular about the way children learn. Yes. So that's my focus. What are the things, what are the mechanisms that affects children's learning? What theory should be put in, what theory should be modified to enable children learn? So I go out of my way if I need to learn a particular concept, if I need to get on any platform just to learn how to improve learning of children. So that's how it started. And every day it's becoming better. I'm learning. One of the amazing things in education is that learning never stops for teachers, for educators. Every day things improving, and you find out amazing ways to improve how children learn, both in their environment, in their studies, in different concepts.
So you've talked this year about adapting to change and how that's essential and having to be audacious and forward thinking. What sort of examples from your own work are there, and what sort of advice would you have for people looking to change or adapt to change?
Okay. I remember what one of my mentors told me. If your turn isn't today, tomorrow it will be. It certainly will be. So when we are looking forward to adapting to change, first of all, we have to understand that there's what we call change. Yes. There has to be that understanding that there's what we call change. There has to be that understanding that there's what we call the next level. So most people do something, most people bring up a concept and they just want to stay in one place. Why? Because they don't understand what the next step is like. So it's first of all, there has to be an understanding that there is what we call the next step. And then we have to seek out ways to advance to that next step. That involves getting involved with people who are also forward thinking, getting involved with communities that is advancing, getting involved in activities that will channel you and also launch you to the next step. So that is it. And also you have to understand that it might not be easy. Yeah, it might not be forthcoming immediately. But when you persist, but when you keep believing that, of course, things doesn't always go well the first instance, that even if it doesn't work out today, tomorrow it will. But you have to understand that there is always a next step, and that's what you should be targeting.
So one of the themes for Open Design Africa Festival this year is small is massive, and you've talked about the kind of changes that people can make. So what are some examples from your own work of those small changes? Perhaps you've given examples of people, but perhaps on a level of a system or your organization where a small change has made a big difference.
Okay, first of all, I want to say this in our language, which is the BBO, one of the languages in Nigeria. They say Tebayo Bang. What that actually means is that small drops make an ocean. So in my organization, I was afraid initially of taking a step because I didn't know what the outcome would be. Before I started the Innovative Child Network, I had zero knowledge of what I was out doing. I was confused, but I had to take the step regardless. What actually led me was the fact that I knew what I wanted to change, but how to go about it at the point I didn't know. But when I started, I realized that as I met a lot of people and share my dreams and share my vision, and I get responses, I discovered that there's a lot to be done. And it also helped me to narrow it down. When we started, I felt like we're not doing anything. Yeah, nothing. We're not doing anything. Although we're executing projects, I felt like it wasn't enough. When you read about a report of organization, they talk about impacting lives of thousands of people, and no, we are just here. But at the end of the day, when we went back to our report and we read about, went back to pre and post assessments, and we read about the responses from students, and we know that we've done so much. We've done so much. So when people wait to get all the idea figured out, it might not actually might work, but it will take so much time. But when we have take up the little we have and take a step, it will turn out to be something great. Like one of my mentors normally say that a person cannot change the world, cannot change the whole world, but everyone has his own part to focus on. When all of us focus on this, the tiny parts that we are dedicated to, we realize that at the end of the day, all of us must have changed the whole world. So that's, to me, that's what small is massive. That's what it means to me. All of us, we have our tiny parts we should focus on, and if we dedicate our life to this, at the end of the day, we realize that the whole world must have been better because each of us decided to focus on our part.
Wow, thank you. So how did you come across design for the first time, and how have you incorporated design into your work?
Okay, first of all, I am someone who has been so passionate about education. And design comes in a lot of perspective, in a lot of angles. So mine was in the aspect of education. You know, in my I actually developed passion for education in my secondary school days, like I said before. And one of the questions I asked myself was, how does the whole thing work? Where do I start from? What are the things that need to be put in place? What does it even mean? So that question, those questions alone helped me to advance for more knowledge. And that was where I learned about practical methods, different methodologies, different principles in education. And it helped me to understand the area I should focus on, such as when I came to learn about the UDL, Universal Design for Learning, I came to learn about project-based learning, came to learn about play-based learning. So from the me that didn't understand anything about the areas of education and how the best practices can help children learn, to me realizing all these principles and how they can affect learning and improve learning for children. So that's how design actually came, from me being curious and going out of my way to find resources, meet with people, get connected to platforms that help me understand best what I wanted to go into. So that was how I designed entered my life in the aspect of education.
Thanks for tuning in, and let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. I just say below. They always say below. Thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe and leave a comment section.
Leave a comment.